mud in the bathtub, like mud on the bathroom floor. Carpet's just like soaked.
A massive sinkhole has closed down a busy intersection in the city's East End and left some residents with flooded basements. Good afternoon. We begin at Coxwell and Cosburn Avenues, where a significant portion of the intersection has caved in and filled with water.
The city says the street collapsed after a water main broke late last night. CTV's Beth Macdonell is live at the intersection with more on this. Beth.
Nathan, Michelle, this is a large and serious sinkhole. It's closed the intersection of Cosburn and Coxwell. Take a look at this crater. You can see exposed pipes, dirt, and broken concrete. The city says this all started last night with a water main break, which led to street flooding, pavement damage, and then this sinkhole. One resident, Evelyn Reese, shared video of that flooding with us last night. She told me she called 311 shortly after 10 because of all the water. The city says it worked through the night to carry out emergency repairs and prevent further flooding. The city says 2 basements have been affected so far, including that of Evelyn Reese, who lives in the townhouses just next to the sinkhole.
We were all out here and there was tons and tons and tons of water. So we're absolutely terrified and horrified to see this in our house again, water back in our house again.
I went to bed and I didn't think anything else of it. And then this morning, get up, my wife's like, you got to see the basement. And so there's like a layer of mud about 2 centimeters thick.
They have a lot of obstacles to deal with. There's lots of underground utilities, and they have to be careful of gas, hydro, bell lines, communication lines. And being so close to the hospital, it would be probably high priority cables running through this area. So these guys have a challenge, but they'll stick with it, get it done, get the water back on for everybody.
Now that last man you just heard from is Glenn Crombie. He told us he used to do water main work with the city. As you can see, crews are busy here at work, digging and doing various technical jobs. It's really quite a deep crater. Definitely would be over my head, maybe double my height. The city says it's not clear exactly how long the repairs are going to take, but it's also going to be doing an investigation. Reporting live, I'm Beth Macdonell. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
What a headache. Thank you, Beth. Toronto police, meantime, are trying to locate a driver who allegedly left the scene of a crash in Scarborough early this morning. The collision happening around 2 a.m. at Kennedy Road and Shepherd Avenue. One of the vehicles took out a streetlight pole and flipped onto its roof. Police say a woman who was driving one of those vehicles ran away and is still outstanding. No one was seriously injured. A Markham man has been charged with attempted murder after police say he used his vehicle to hit 2 people last night.
It happened in a parking lot in Flemington Park. CTV Sean Leathong is there live with more details on this. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, we're in a plaza at Don Mills and Gateway Boulevard. Now, the area behind me, you may be able to see a fence that seems to have been broken down. Now, that's what happened when the crash occurred at about 10:30 last night. According to Toronto police, 2 men got in an argument in the area where I'm standing. One got in his vehicle and then ran over the other one, causing serious but non-life-threatening injuries. They say when the party attempted to reverse his vehicle, he then hit another person that was non-life-threatening, non-serious injuries. The 2 people that were injured, the man, one in his 20s and one in his 50s. Now, the man was arrested at the scene, 33-year-old Idris Gulami. Now, Gulami's been charged with attempted murder, dangerous operation of a motor vehicle, dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing bodily harm, and uttering threats. Now, you can see the scene from some of the video we had today where there's tire tracks going along the sidewalk and in through the fence. What we've also learned today, sources have confirmed that Idris Gulami has also faced charges of attempted murder before. Back in 2017, he was arrested and charged with 4 counts of attempted murder for apparently discharging a firearm inside of an apartment building around February of that year. We've also learned that in 2024, Gulami was arrested and charged with assault. Now, he was supposed to appear in court and has recently appeared in court, as recent as June of this year, with another court date set for November. Now, once he was arrested last night, Gulami once again will appear in court, is expected to appear in court today. What we haven't learned yet, though, just what the resolution of those charges were back in 2017, because as we understand, very serious charges. It would be a question that would be raised is why was he out at this time, just 7 years later. So it's something that we're looking into at this point. But as we sit here, both the people that were hit are expected to survive. There's no update on the actual severity of the injuries of the person who was more seriously injured. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. And still ahead on CTV News at noon, another delay may be coming down the track for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, what the chair of the TTC says about the September deadline. Coming up a little later in the newscast.
But first, we're getting some new employment data this morning, shedding light on the realities of Canada's labour market, specifically when it comes to job vacancies. For more on the stats, we're joined by CTV's Kamal Karamali. Kamal, what does this latest data tell us?
Yeah, Nathan, some good news for the month of June, according to Statistics Canada data released this morning. When it comes to job vacancies, we're seeing a slight bump up in June numbers compared to May and April, and that's slightly offsetting May and April's job vacancy decreases. Now, obviously, high job vacancies suggest that businesses are expanding and need more workers to meet the increased demand. So some slight good news here. You see more than 12,000 job vacancies in June compared to May. But if we could go back to that graphic, I want to show you the numbers at the bottom of the screen of significance, because the one that carried this number up was one sector in particular. You can see it on the bottom left here. Construction, more than 32,000 job vacancies in June compared to May. You see the other sectors all dropping in terms of job availability and vacancies. 22,000 less in the month of June in the healthcare sector and 8,000 fewer in transportation. In retail, 7,000 fewer job vacancies in June compared to May, giving you a snapshot on job availability. But still some good news here, as the overall number in June, Nathan, increased, meaning that for job seekers, there's more options available.
That's good. Are there any indicators that there could be stronger employment growth across the country?
Yeah, those job vacancies show that, the economy is doing a little bit better than expected. Many economists had thought that we might be in a recession by this point because of the tariffs and the trade war. So it's not excellent, but it's not terrible either. That little bump that we're seeing offsetting May and April a little bit. But I want to show you earnings. So this is the weekly average earnings that Statistics Canada put forward this morning as well, and it's up by 3.7%. So this is what your average Canadian is earning on a weekly basis, a bump up of just over 3%. Once again, not a terrible number, Nathan, and not a great number either, but better than what many economists were expecting, seeing that we're in the middle of a tariff and a trade war as well.
Yeah, reason for optimism. CTV's Kamal Karamali in the CTV Newsroom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The TTC is getting ready for kids and teachers to go back to school. Starting September 2nd, the TTC is increasing service on 32 bus routes and making route adjustments to help students boarding at stops near schools. Children 12 and under ride for free, and teens pay a reduced fare of $2.35.
As we morph into the fall, we're improving service, bringing it back to the levels we were in the spring. Two notable adjustments we're really proud to announce. First is the Sinclair 512, where we're moving from a frequency of 8 minutes to 6 minutes. That will help the commute for over 20,000 of our commuters. Secondly, the 133 Nelson bus service. Again, improving that service middays, weekends, and through the AM peaks for the daily 10,000 commuters that use that.
The TTC is also reminding drivers to use caution as the streets and sidewalks get busier and slow down to allow buses to merge into traffic.
TTC Chair Jamaal Myers says another delay could be coming when it comes to the opening of the Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
I would say that September is not looking likely, but we have not gotten an official word yet from Metrolinx, but I would say that's probably a safe bet.
Construction on the LRT line started in 2011 and was supposed to be finished in 2020. It's been hit with numerous delays and is now at least $1 billion over budget. The LRT route is 19 kilometers long between Mount Dennis and Kennedy Road.
Well, as the future of the opening of the LRT is really uncertain, we are a lot more certain about your forecast. We're taking a live look at the city today. It's gray, it's cold, it is wet, not ideal, but Lindsay Morrison, I know she's going to bring the sunshine at some point. Lindsay.
Well, I do have some good news when it comes to the long weekend, Michelle, and I think that's the forecast that a lot of people, it really matters to them at this point. So hold tight. Some good news is coming. Maybe this is good news for you if you've been waiting for rain. We've got it today. Pretty widespread at this hour across the GTA. And you can see that this front slices right across southern, southwestern, eastern Ontario, bringing with it periods of rain and the risk of thunderstorms. It's also a little breezy out there right now. We are getting still a bit of a southwest wind. It's going to switch to more of a westerly wind as the day goes on, and gusts could be up to about 40 kilometers per hour. It's a little cool out there. We're at 17 degrees right now in Toronto. It is, however, 24 in Niagara Falls, in the teens right across Barrie, north to Muskoka. Here's your today at a glance. We are going to see some clearing as we progress into the early part of the evening. Drier tomorrow, but even cooler. Again, the good news comes beginning Saturday. We'll take you through the long weekend forecast just ahead. Nathan, for now, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. There's more evidence of Toronto's struggling housing market.
The city saw its worst July in decades for new home sales. CTV's Rahim Ladani has more on the impact on buyers and sellers.
These new condos on the Queensway may be going up, but according to the building industry, new home sales across the GTA haven't been this low in decades.
The cost to produce new housing is higher than what the market is willing and able to absorb. And that's creating conditions where new buyers are sitting on the sidelines.
Looking at both new condos and single-family homes, this past July, there were 359 sales. Last July, 684 new homes sold, while based on the previous 10-year average, a typical July in the GTA would see more than 1,900 units sold.
A lot of those new condos, they are not family condos, right? They are tiny.
As sales centers try to incentivize buyers, the inventory of new homes sits at 20 months.
I think the relative cost of a house or a condo to what most people are earning on an annual income basis is considerably higher than it used to be.
This report likens the current market to the housing crisis in the 90s. So far this year, there have been nearly 1,500 fewer new home sales compared to the year 1990. Earlier this year, the federal government tabled legislation that would eliminate the 5% GST for first-time homebuyers of a new home. Still, builders are calling for further intervention to help address the stall of new supply.
We're basically have hit a price floor. You can't build it for cheaper. We're looking for governments to take steps to reduce their development charges.
Meanwhile, potential homebuyers would like to see builders and government collaborate towards an innovative solution.
Find some of the building material in the near future, some kind of technology or some kind of innovation to make houses cheaper.
Whether it's through innovation, policy, or pricing, the challenge remains finding a way to make new homes within reach. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Turning now to a guilty plea for a Toronto police officer who shot an unhoused man who was carrying a knife.
The incident was caught on body cam video, released for the first time yesterday. And a warning, the video is disturbing. CTV John Woodward has the details.
Hands up! Hey, get it down on the ground! Hey! Get down on the ground! Hey! Taser!
Less than 20 seconds after getting out of her squad car, Constable Sarah Richards had fired her taser at 31-year-old Devin Fowlin.
Stop it! Stop!
Body camera videos released Wednesday after a request by CTV News show how quickly the police response in February 2023 escalated.
Drop the knife right now! Drop it!
A passerby had called police about a man with a knife worried he would hurt his dog. Fowlin was camping there. He'd lost his job at the airport and was homeless. He later said the knife, then still in its sheath, was for cooking. Richard's taser glanced off Fowlin's jacket. Constable Andrew Davis still trying to reason with Fowlin even as he drew his gun.
Why do you have a knife on you?
That's when Fowlin brings the knife to his own throat. Richards yells,
"Oh my God, shoot him!"
Unclear whether she's talking to another officer with a taser or Davis, but Davis follows the order. Fowlin hit in the chest, wrist, hip, and abdomen. He flees. Davis takes him down at Black Creek Drive. Fowlin was taken to hospital. He survived. Davis pleaded guilty Wednesday to assault and using a weapon without lawful excuse.
One of the most shocking videos I've seen in my life.
Outside court, Fowlin's lawyer David Shellnut and advocate Desmond Cole said it's a stark reminder of how police need to slow down before they know what they're dealing with.
This is going to happen again until our city decides that particularly in situations of mental health crisis, there is a non-police, non-lethal response.
The Toronto Police disciplinary charges say Richard's use of the taser escalated the situation. Its use was unnecessary and disproportionate, and alleged there was no justification for Davis to fire either.
I know Constable Davis. He's a good person. And like all of our members, they're out there doing their best in difficult situations.
This case is an opportunity to improve things for the next person.
Fowlin glad for the plea, but still struggling with the aftermath and hoping the video can teach officers what not to do. John Woodward, CTV News.
There's growing reaction to a brazen theft in southern Ontario where thousands of dollars worth of booze was stolen from a liquor store. Premier Doug Ford is now weighing in and not mincing words. CTV's Spencer Turcotte has the story.
A group of unmasked men are seen calmly loading bottles of alcohol into bags at this Kitchener LCBO. Police say it happened Saturday afternoon. 6 men in total took off with primarily scotch valued at an estimated $8,000.
Did you see these characters on the news last night that went into the LCBO up in Kitchener? They're brazen bunch of crooks.
Premier Doug Ford caught wind of the theft and took it upon himself to go on what he called a crime rant.
They just do not care. They go in there, they start loading up, and loading up. And do you know what's ironic? It's the taxpayers' money, the LCBO. And so they're stealing off the taxpayers.
Waterloo Regional Police say the chief and premier have been in contact over the issue.
You know, I have all the confidence in the world in the Waterloo Police Services, the chief, he's a champion, the chief. We got to catch these guys and throw them in jail.
Deputy Chief Jen Davis said they appreciate the Premier's support in arresting and prosecuting individuals responsible for this sort of crime, which is skyrocketing.
We've had over 900 LCBO-related calls this year already. We've laid over 500 charges.
Investigators say this could be linked to multi-jurisdictional crime groups, so they are using the clear cell phone video captured to work with other police forces to find the suspects.
We know that on the clandestine market, this type of product is fetching 40 to 50% of the original cost, which is then being turned into fueling other criminal activity.
Seeing the thieves unfazed by cameras in their faces had Ford reminiscing about the actions of a customer during a Toronto area LCBO theft from last year.
I'd love to meet that guy one day. You gave him a couple slugs in the head. They deserve a slug in the head every once in a while.
Those comments had shoppers divided at the Kitchener LCBO where the weekend theft happened.
There's a lot of ways to use a bottle than just drink out of it.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm out of here. Peace.
Meanwhile, the message from police is clear.
I don't encourage anyone in public engaging with these individuals. I know it's frustrating, but unfortunately, we don't know if these individuals are armed with any type of weapon.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
Russia unleashed a massive drone and missile attack on Kyiv overnight, killing at least 16 people and injuring dozens in the first direct attack on the Ukrainian capital in weeks. The overnight attack targeted at least 7 districts across Kyiv. British Council and European Union offices were among buildings hit during the attacks. There are reports the Russian ambassador to the United Kingdom will be summoned by the British Foreign Office over the incident as EU leaders express outrage.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. It shows that the Kremlin will stop at nothing to terrorize Ukraine, blindly killing civilians, men, women, and children, and even targeting the European Union.
Ukraine's Air Force says Russia launched close to 600 drones and at least 31 missiles. This attack comes amid a flurry of diplomatic efforts to end the conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says the attack shows the world Russia's answer to those efforts. And Prime Minister Mark Carney weighed in this morning, saying in part, last night, Russia launched another brutal attack on Kyiv that deliberately targeted civilians and killed more than a dozen people, including children. By murdering when he should be talking, Putin demonstrates in the most horrific manner that his mission to subsume the Ukrainian people under his tyranny continues. He went on to say the attack would only strengthen Canada's resolve to work with allies to secure a just and lasting peace in Ukraine.
The UN Secretary General is renewing calls for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Gaza is piled with rubble, piled with bodies, and piled with examples of what may be serious violations of international law. Hostages taken by Hamas and other groups must be released, and the atrocious treatment they have been forced to endure must stop. Civilians must be protected. And let's be clear, the levels of death and destruction in Gaza are without parallel in recent times.
Those comments come as residents of the Gaza City suburbs say they're coming under intensifying bombardment from Israeli forces. Medics there say at least 16 Palestinians were killed across the enclave today. Israel says it's targeting terrorist organizations and infrastructure. The UN has warned Israel's expanded military operation in Gaza City could have devastating consequences.
The Minneapolis community came together last night to hold a vigil, mourning the lives lost in yesterday's shooting at a school church and to speak out against gun violence.
What I'm thinking about is a national ban on assault rifles. My prayer is a national ban on these assault rifles. And you should know that when we used to ban them assault rifles, we used to keep a lot more people alive than we do now.
2 children, ages 8 and 10 years old, were killed yesterday when a shooter opened fire through the windows of the church. 14 other children and 3 adults were injured. Minneapolis police have identified the suspect, who they say died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They're investigating videos and a notebook linked to that individual, which discussed previous school shootings. They also included a diagram of the inside of a church resembling the scene of yesterday's shooting.
Dramatic developments in Washington. The director of the top American public health agency has been fired, and several top agency leaders have resigned. Susan Monarez was dismissed as the director of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control after less than a month on the job. Lawyers for Monarez say she was targeted for refusing to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives. Following her dismissal, 3 senior CDC leaders resigned, with some saying they're frustrated over vaccine policy. Monarez is accusing Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. of weaponizing public health. The U.S. Health Secretary has narrowed access to COVID-19 vaccines and has a noted history of vaccine skepticism. He stood by his actions in an interview this morning on Fox News.
The agency is in trouble, and we need to fix it, and we are fixing it, and it may be that some people should not be working there anymore. We need strong leadership that will go in there and that will be able to execute on President Trump's broad ambitions.
This comes amid a growing standoff between the Trump administration and the U.S. Central Bank. Donald Trump said this week he was firing Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, accusing her of lying in financial documents. She filed a lawsuit today saying any attempt to remove her would be illegal. The disagreement is set to be watched closely in the latest battle over the limits of presidential power at the traditionally independent Fed.
And as the trade war between Canada and the United States continues, today marks the last day of an exemption that allows packages worth $800 USD or less to ship into the United States without import duties. And for more on this, we're joined by CTV's Jeremy Charon. Jeremy, thanks for being with us. With these exemptions ending, the question is, what will that mean for businesses and shoppers here in Canada?
Yeah, well, Michelle, it's going to have a big impact. It's known as the de minimis exemption. And for small businesses, medium-sized businesses, even here in Canada, this has been a very key tool to getting their products to U.S. consumers without paying significant duties. Up until now, as you've touched on, anything worth under $800 was able to be shipped south of the border without paying any added duties. As of tomorrow, that changes. And for small and medium-sized businesses across the country, it will have a significant impact. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says about 1/3 of small and medium-sized businesses will be impacted by this change and the dropping of this exemption. And it means in some cases businesses are going to have to make difficult decisions. Some have already said that they're going to stop offering shipments to the U.S. altogether because it simply doesn't make sense financially as a result of the dropping of this exemption. Others say their products will perhaps double or even more than double in price and they need to then decide whether or not to try and absorb those costs, although a lot of these small businesses don't have the room to do so. They don't have the overhead to be able to, eat those costs. So it means consumers, if they choose to still purchase these products, they're going to be paying a significantly higher price for these products. So a lot of businesses here in Canada are trying to determine what this means for them, whether or not they continue to ship their products to the U.S., and if so, how they handle the increase in cost of doing so. And again, we're talking about small businesses here, not massive businesses, of course. You can think of, T-shirt printing businesses, small companies that are making mugs. Sometimes these companies are working, are operated by one person in their own home, that kind of thing. And it's going to be a big hit for a lot of these businesses.
Let's talk about Canada Post, not surprisingly impacted here. Canada Post saying they'll be using third-party technology for shipments to the U.S. How does this work, and how are businesses responding?
Yeah, so basically, look, there are about 25 countries worldwide that have said, as a result of this change by the U.S. administration, they're just not going to ship to the U.S. anymore. Canada Post has not taken that step. They're still going to do so. That's good news for businesses that, if they choose to, continue to ship some of their products to the U.S. But it does mean Canada Post is going to be working with a third-party company to process these payments. It means someone has to determine when these products are being shipped, whether or not they're subject to these new duties. If so, what is the amount? Because it's going to be roughly, in most cases, 35% of the value of the product. And then how does that get collected and distributed to the U.S. administration? That is, those are all steps that are going to have to be taken. So likely what this means is, beyond the cost of these new duties, there will also be new processing fees that could be pushed to the business as well as a result of this change. So a lot of headaches, a lot of questions that many businesses will be asking as they try to navigate this new reality. But for many, it means the loss of revenues, but even perhaps the loss of a consumer base for some of these companies that has been established south of the border.
People these days do not want to pay anymore. CTV Jeremy Charon live for us in Ottawa. Thank you.
Anytime.
Border security and fentanyl trafficking were the focus at a meeting between Canadian officials and the U.S. Attorney General in Washington. Justice Minister Sean Fraser called yesterday's 45-minute meeting with Pam Bondi productive. He says they talked about shared priorities and that the meeting was an opportunity to highlight Canada's ongoing efforts in the fight against fentanyl and criminal organizations. The meeting came a day after Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. LeBlanc's office says the minister left Washington with a sense that progress was made to further talks on tariffs and trade.
Well, it may be hard to believe September is just about here. It's next week, but that does mean the return of another late summer tradition, the Canadian International Air Show. Despite the gloomy weather, our CTV News chopper spotted members of the Canadian Forces snowbirds making their way to the lake shore as they prepared to take the skies together. Always a highlight. The 76th Canadian International Air Show runs Saturday through to Monday, and we will have a sneak peek on CTV News at 5 and 6. Lindsay.
So no question, it's been a bit of an unsettled week and certainly has been cool. We are going to warm up in the coming days, but first it might get a little cooler before that happens. Tomorrow's temperature below seasonal. In fact, we're going to struggle to make it out of the teens. Last time we were 19 degrees for a daytime high was all the way back in June. Now, speaking of the air show, here's your forecast for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Conditions today may be not ideal for flying, but it's looking great for the big shows. Coming up, we're going to take you through the forecast into next week. Back to school on Tuesday for so many, just in time for a little bit of summertime heat to return. Details after this.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, looking at the forecast on this last week of summer vacation, for many, not the best conditions outside.
It's feeling like a soaker, and then I think adding to it is the fact that it feels cool as well. So if you're out there, and no doubt people at camps are out there right now, probably not loving it.
I know. It's been an extra effort to get out a raincoat today, sweaters the last couple of mornings. It feels like fall, doesn't it? But summer not completely finished. In fact, we have some pretty good looking weather conditions through the long range forecast. But yes, we do have to get through today, which is a bit soggy, at least until the early part of this evening. But we can do it. Oh, and then we have a cool day tomorrow to get through. Also, weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. So yeah, the rain is coming down at a pretty good clip this hour in the GTA. Yeah, I can't really see across the water there in this live shot. It is gray, it is gloomy, it is below seasonal, and of course it is unsettled. In addition to showers or rainfall, we have a risk of thunderstorms for today embedded within this frontal system. So not severe in nature, but could add to our rainfall tally by the time all is said and done. So this is a big picture look at this system. It's all still associated with this area of low pressure that has parked itself over Quebec. And so with this, we are getting the active weather today. Behind the front for tomorrow, we're going to see some northwesterly winds funnel in, and that's going to make it an even cooler day than today in most cases. So we just have to get through that. Then high pressure is really going to settle in nicely and make way for some sunny skies over the long weekend. How much rain? It really depends on where you are. We're going to say, generally speaking, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, but some areas, especially in eastern Ontario and parts of Quebec, will see significantly more than that. Timing-wise, by the time we reach the early part of this evening, the wet weather should be moving out, and hopefully the cloud cover starts to break up too. Likely still mainly cloudy skies, but it'd be nice to see a little bit of sun. Tomorrow is a drier day overall. We're holding on to the chance of a shower, variable cloudiness, but as mentioned, northwest winds this time, and temperatures that are going to struggle to make it out of the teens. The last time we had a daytime high, no warmer than 19 degrees, was June 13th, so it's been a little while. Into the weekend, though, Saturday and Sunday, lots of sun mixed with a little bit of cloud, and temperatures are going to be a little more comfortable as well. It is 17 degrees right now in Toronto. This may be a little optimistic, trying to make it to a high of 21, but let's see if we can do it. Into this evening, 19 degrees at around 8 p.m., which again is near sunset time. Overnight tonight, our low is about 11 degrees, so it's chilly overnight. It's pretty chilly waking up tomorrow, and then there's our forecast daytime high of 19. Let's talk about the long weekend, though. Back up around 23 and 24 degrees for Saturday, Sunday, so back near seasonal. 25 on Labor Day looks wonderful, and then back to school Tuesday for many kids. It's going to feel like summer all over again. A high of 26, but feeling closer to 30. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. BC Simon Fraser University is taking a big step into the future. This fall, a professor is being joined by a 3D artificial sidekick to teach students.
Yes, CTV's Craig Krause was given a lesson on the one-of-a-kind tech and how the professor is hoping it paves the way for better AI literacy.
Back to school for post-secondary students is nearly here. And this fall at Simon Fraser University, some students are going to be taught by a new professor of sorts.
You're an advanced technology that was made in my research lab, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Meet Kia. It was developed by Professor Steve DiPaolo at the School of Interactive Arts and Technology and will teach alongside him.
What are we going to be teaching in the class?
In the class, we'll cover a range of exciting topics, including the history of AI, machine learning concepts, neural networks, generative models, and the ethical implications of AI on society.
Ethics, that DiPaolo says will be a key focus of the course.
Anthropomorphic design raises important ethical questions about representation and its influence, and I'm excited to address those in class.
Dubbed a world first, inspiring the next generation of researchers to create other uses.
Advocating for a group.
Master's student Charlotte Ho is developing a program that could change how people negotiate with their employer.
My current research is on helping or empowering women to improve their salary negotiation skills with using AI talking characters.
Prompting it with characteristics of the boss and how to react and push for higher pay. A new era where AI appears to be impacting everyday life, leaving the question to be asked.
Are you concerned with the rapid evolution of AI?
Yes, and I surely, in Canada, we have a lot of organizations I'm going to Ottawa and other places a lot to really understand how we can keep it in check and make sure it's used for good and not for bad.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Surrey.
Coming up, pediatricians report a concerning number of Canadian adolescents are finding themselves in need of medical attention as they turn to performance-enhancing supplements to boost their workouts, products that are legal, but in some cases proving unsafe. Pediatricians are sounding the alarm over supplements used by young people while working out.
They say protein powders and creatine are being consumed by kids. And as CTV's Pauline Chan reports, that comes with some potential health risks.
The survey looked at 857 pediatricians across Canada and showed 17% of them had dealt with adolescents who needed medical attention because of dietary supplements or performance-type drugs over the past year.
Most of them are related to things like gastrointestinal issues or maybe some sort of like cardiac issues, maybe in arrhythmias, things of that nature.
Kidney problems were also common. The vast majority of the patients were boys. More than half were aged 13 to 15, and a third were aged 10 to 12. More than half of the doctors say they never screen regularly for supplements or performance-enhancing chemicals, and a quarter said they had no knowledge about the substances.
I think the important thing is just to recognize, especially for parents and pediatricians and healthcare providers at large, is that these dietary supplements in particular are very, very easily accessible. You can buy them at Costco, you can buy them at Shoppers.
Items such as whey powder, pre-workout mixes, and creatine are also available online. And lead researcher Kyle Ganson says their use has been increasing in teens recently.
Certainly social media is a big proponent of this and obviously influencing a lot of young people to go towards some of these supplements.
Use of illegal drugs such as anabolic steroids has also been on the rise in kids, and Ganson says the harms are not just physical.
Also things like body image issues or other disordered eating patterns or overexercising, which again can also cause some other problems.
He says parents and healthcare providers need to know more about these substances and encourage safe use of them. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The province is expanding access to publicly funded RSV immunizations, covering more seniors as another respiratory virus season approaches. Everyone aged 75 and up will be able to get their RSV shot for free. Health Minister Sylvia Jones says that step will help protect the most vulnerable and reduce unnecessary hospitalizations. This fall and winter, vaccines will also be offered to other high-risk adults ages 60 to 74 and expecting mothers. Some infants and high-risk children will be able to get protective antibody treatments. Toronto Public Health issued a reminder to parents and guardians yesterday. It advised making sure students are up to date on their required vaccines as they head back to school. They say key actions to take now include checking vaccine records, getting any outstanding shots, and then reporting them to public health. Students without the necessary records or a valid exemption could face suspension for up to 20 school days.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Ottawa is spending millions on electric vehicle charging infrastructure across the country.
But as CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson reports, it's happening despite a big slump in EV sales.
Hundreds of new electric vehicle charging stations are coming to one of Canada's fastest EV adopters.
Canadians are making that choice, particularly here in BC, leading the charge. BC and Quebec have a great rivalry, I think, bringing on EVs.
In Victoria, the Carney government announced $22 million in funding for nearly 500 new EV chargers in the province, part of building out EV infrastructure to support its zero-emission vehicle mandate. The mandate requires 20% of all light-duty vehicles sold in Canada to be fully electric or plug-in hybrid by next year, 60% by 2030, and that rises to 100% by 2035.
We are committed to growing EVs across Canada and making them more affordable and more accessible.
The auto industry, under pressure by U.S. tariffs, wants the mandate eliminated, saying thousands of jobs could be at risk. Recent polling shows close to 3/4 of Canadians think it should be rolled back. And EV sales in June were down 35% year over year. Some blame the end of the federal rebate program that saved buyers thousands.
The incentive that was in place for consumers to buy cars has now disappeared. And, and when you take things away from customers, they will rebel.
The EV push is also coming under attack from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who cited a study on the significant drop in battery power in sub-zero temperatures.
Rural communities in much of Canada would simply cease to exist over the next 10 years without the ability to use gas and diesel-powered vehicles.
1 in every 4 cars sold this year is expected to be electric, with China and Europe leading the way. July sales year over year globally jumped more than 20%. Right now, Canada is driving in the other direction. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
The Blue Jays wrapped up their series with the Minnesota Twins at Rogers Center last night.
Ripped to right center field. Off the wall. Kirk is in to score. Springer's rounding third, and he'll score.
The Jays came from behind to take a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. It was scary at one point, but they managed to eke out a win, and they winning the game 9-8. The Jays have today off before they welcome the Milwaukee Brewers to town tomorrow. The Brewers currently have the best record in baseball.
Venus Williams is teaming up with Canada's Leylah Fernandez in doubles action today at the U.S. Open.
This time gets it done.
Fernandez is coming off a win last night against France's Elsa Giacomo, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2. Fernandez found her groove in the second and third sets to win the match in 2 hours and 16 minutes. The 45-year-old Williams is appearing in her first Grand Slam tournament in 2 years. That match gets underway at 3 this afternoon. Meanwhile, 2 more Canadians are set to hit the court today at the U.S. Open. Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime both advanced to the second round after they each posted a straight sets victory Tuesday. Shapovalov will square off against French wildcard Valentin Royer. Auger-Aliassime will meet next with Russia's Roman Safilin, also on Thursday.
If you've watched television at some point over the past 40 years, you probably came across the TV show Degrassi.
And as CTV's Andrea Case reports, the inspiration for a new documentary about to screen at TIFF came from an unexpected source.
There was a notice about auditions for this new kids show.
And then one day, my mom called me and told me, you got the role. And I just grabbed my bag and left. And man, what a wild journey that started.
The new documentary, Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, would never have happened without Ivy Mudd.
I started Degrassi, and I'm like, why is there no documentary about this?
Do you always take your daughter's advice?
From now on, I will, clearly.
It is the longest-running and most successful franchise in TV history.
2 years ago, the then 13-year-old Ivy began watching Degrassi from the very beginning of its 385 episodes. She asked her TV and film producer mother that fateful question.
It was pretty clear that, it sort of stands the test of time. So the question was, what's the future of it? And why not celebrate something that's 4 decades old?
Ivy was captivated by the TV show about a group of kids in a Toronto school and their lives inside and outside the classroom.
I think everything still holds up. It talks about things like eating disorders, and I feel like people can relate all over the world.
Cast members were game to take part in the documentary, including perhaps its now most famous former student, Jimmy, a.k.a. Aubrey Graham, a.k.a. Drake. Mudd had to get the blessing of show creator Linda Schuyler, which was easier than she thought.
We had lunch. We sort of poured our hearts out, and I don't think that she had any expectations. Like, she was very hands-off.
As for getting accepted into the Toronto International Film Festival,
I've been around a while. This is my first TIFF, and it is... it's incredible, and in our own town, in Toronto, with a franchise that is homegrown. It's a Toronto story, right? But our arguably one of our biggest cultural exports. So it's amazing to be here.
Degrassi, Whatever It Takes, will have its world premiere on September 13th at 6:15 at Scotiabank Theatre. Do you have your outfit picked out for the red carpet?
Not yet, but it has to be amazing.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
It brings back memories, doesn't it?
I watched the original one, and really at the time there was nothing like that on TV.
Yeah, and it's just gone on for so many decades. Hard to believe.
Yeah, that theme song alone brings back a whole lot of memories. Let's get to weather. It is an unsettled, rainy day. There's one more look at our satellite and radar. Yeah, this wet weather is going to be with us for the next several hours into the evening, in fact. Tomorrow, what I want to focus on is our forecast daytime high of only 19 degrees. That's well below seasonal. Chance of showers in parts of cottage country tomorrow, but then Saturday through Monday looks fabulous. Hopefully you get outside to enjoy. 7-day forecast looks great here in Toronto as well, with some warmer weather coming early next week. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, good to hear. Thanks, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Ethan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.